What is up, everyone? Things by Roma here. Beginning of the April update here. I started cleaning up the garden a little bit, so the garlic is popping up here, which is pretty cool. So this is music hardneck garlic. I planted this in the fall in these two beds. So actually the stuff in the middle here is music hardneck garlic. But we went apple picking last fall as well, and they had garlic. I don't know what kind it was, but I ended up planting that as well, and that's what the stuff along the sides here is, some unknown garlic, so we'll see how good that is. But we did get this bed over here. I bought some asparagus crowns. I forget the names of them. One of them's purple, one of them's green. And I planted them in the first two rows here. Nothing's planted in the back there because the back doesn't really get much sun. I learned that the hard way. These did have strawberries in here before, but I decided the strawberries are going all the way over on the fence in the what I'm going to call the berry row now. Here we have two. I've been emptying all of my containers that have really nice soil perlite and coco coir mixture. It's my own blend for potting, outdoor potting mix pretty much. So I filled my container beds with that. So this all has really nice soil in here now, really nice and easy to work with. So if I have any beets or carrots or anything like that I want to put in any of these beds now, they all have this really nice soil. This is where I grew potatoes last year, but my dog Roxy kept running through here, and I learned the lesson the hard way. And plus, again, kind of like this bed doesn't get much sun because it's right up against the fence here. So I'm actually taking this bed out, and that's just going to be another pathway this year. So as far as tomatoes and cucumbers, I had these PVC trellises up. I don't think I'm going to do that again this year. I think I'm going to use my natural trellising that I have here with the pool deck and with the trampoline. So the trampoline over there has these poles, and I'm going to try to grow the tomatoes and cucumbers up the poles there. And the same thing with the pool deck here. I'm just going to try to use the poles for tomatoes and cucumbers, so I don't have to put the trellises up this year. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to do the square foot gardening method in all of these beds now. So now I should have 2 extra beds that I used for tomatoes and cucumbers last year that will be available to me for square foot gardening, because the tomatoes and cucumbers are now just going to go directly in the ground here. So now I have more bed space, which is fantastic. I noticed it was a lot of work with these containers last year, trying to keep them watered. They dried out a lot faster than anything that was in the ground. So I noticed I had to come outside and water the containers a lot more than I had to water the in-ground stuff. So this season I'm trying to do a lot less container growing. And basically, so for example, like right here, instead of having this container sitting here, I would just drop the peppers right into the ground right there, and then it would just make my life a bit easier, I believe. But who knows, maybe the peppers wouldn't have grown that good because we did have a good harvest with the peppers there. So I did get some new raspberries. I just put this bed in. You can kind of tell the soil looks a little bit nicer over here, but those are the golden raspberries. So hopefully they'll be good. They're from Stark Brothers. And then we have the Heritage Red and the Lanthium and a couple of different other kinds of raspberries that are all mixed in this bed here, and hopefully they'll come back. I'm about to plant my carrots, actually. So it's the beginning of April here. There still will be a frost until they say April 20th is our last frost date, but carrots are pretty frost hardy. So on the end caps here, I'm going to do a bunch of carrots on both end caps, and then we'll see where else, probably over there. And then on the end caps over here, I think I was going to do squash vertically, so that the vines kind of grow up like we do tomatoes and cucumbers. But let's get an update on the trees. So we'll start in the corner here. The mulberry tree, looking pretty cool. We got some buds starting to come in on the mulberry tree. And again, it's hard to see. Focus. We're starting to get a little bit of buds popping out here on the plum tree. Back over here, this trellis I put up last season. This is where we're gonna do all the pole beans, because they don't need a whole bunch. This is a little bit of a shady area. It only gets maybe four hours of sun in the evening. So we're gonna do our pole beans here is the plan, and some flowers at the bottom so that the beans can grow up and we'll have nice foliage at the bottom. The peach tree here actually seems to be the farthest ahead out of any of the trees. The buds are really coming out. This is the redwood, so this should be the fruiting wood this year. So this is the old wood from last year. You can tell the different colors. And the first year wood is what gets the fruit, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm happy it came back because you could see the animals did a number on this bark over the winter. Even though I do have this tree guard on here, it obviously didn't come up nearly high enough because the animals, same thing with this Liberty apple tree, the animals really did a number on it. But it looks like we got some budding going on, so it's still alive. If we do a little scratch test, you can see it's still green. If it'll focus, still green, so we're still alive, we're still wick. Here I did try grafting a Honeycrisp apple tree from Home Depot on here. I actually got it for free because it was blowing around the parking lot. This is it right here. It was blowing around. It wasn't even in the pot anymore, and I went and asked the manager about it if I could get a discount, and he was very nice and said just take it. So I got this Honeycrisp apple tree for free. It's not a semi-dwarf or a dwarf, it's full-size tree, so I'm not going to plant it in the yard, which is why I grafted. I might put it in the front yard, or actually I've been thinking about ripping out the mulberry tree and putting the Honeycrisp there. I'm just simply out of room for more trees, but the mulberry tree, I kind of would almost rather have another apple than the mulberry, so I'm very much contemplating that. It might be on the agenda. Over here, we have some of our perennials coming back in. I forget the name of them. We had some butterfly plants over here, so they might come back. If not, I have some seedling butterflies that we were gonna put in over here, and some Texas mint. I think this was the Texas hummingbird mint. It's starting to come back in. Here we have the Freedom blackberry. It's thornless, from Cornell. And then we have some blueberries. I forget, I did know the name of every single different, we have a different, every blueberry plant I have is a different kind of blueberry. But I did used to know the names, but now I forgot. And same thing with the strawberries. We probably have 4 or 5 different kinds of strawberries and grapes along this fence here. So here's another blackberry plant from last year, Prime Arc Freedom from Stark Brothers. I get a lot of my stuff from Stark Brothers. I find they have quality stuff. I like it. Here's a Prime Arc 48 that I ordered. I didn't realize it had thorns. So I'm going to plant that somewhere. I'm not really sure where that one's going yet. But the strawberries and blueberries are starting to come in, which is, or the strawberries at least, not the blueberries. Hopefully the blueberries will be following soon, but all of these are the blueberry plants. This is the only grape bush or grapevine that survived the animals, as you ate the rest of them all the way basically down. There's a grapevine, eat it all the way down to the ground. Same right here, just ate it up. But here the strawberries are coming in pretty thick right here, so that's pretty cool. This is the sunshine blueberry, and I remember that because they tasted so good and they grew pretty quickly, so I really liked the sunshine blueberry quite a bit. This is the big cherry tree. The one I put in last season actually didn't make it through the winter, but luckily Stark Brothers has a 1-year warranty on most of their stuff, so I just put in a warranty claim. They already sent me a new one. Got it planted last week. And there was a Golden Delicious tree here that is actually right there. As you can see, the animals got to that one really bad, so it's still alive from below that point, but I dug it up and we put in a Chijuro pear tree here now. It's a dwarf tree, so it'll stay nice and short, won't block the sun for these currants here. So here we have a white and a black currant, I believe. I haven't gotten any berries off of them yet. I just put them in last year, so hopefully this year we'll get some fruit from them and we'll be able to try it out. But this Asian pear, I'm excited to try that fruit as well. They call it the butterscotch pear. It's supposed to be delicious. And then here is our black Tartarian cherry tree. Again, getting some budding on that too, so that's great. But again, the animals got to it, so this year I'm gonna have to put these tree guards, get another one, maybe two layers of tree guard to make it come up higher. But again, the foxgloves, these are biennials. I did not expect them to last through the winter, but it seems like they totally did, and they are already coming back up. So I planted these at the beginning of the year last year. I grew these all from seed, expecting them only to have 1 year and then die, but these bloom on the second year, which I didn't know when I planted them last year, so I was a little disappointed that I wouldn't get to see them bloom. But now I get to be super excited because here they are coming back on their second year, so I will get to see them bloom. Here are the seedlings that aren't quite seedlings anymore. So last year I learned a lesson that I planted too early. So I waited an extra 2 weeks this year, and still I feel like it's too early. So maybe next year I'll wait until right now, like the beginning of April, to plant my seeds, because the tomato plants are already getting pretty big. I've had to raise the lights a couple times. So we have spinach, bunch of different kinds of tomatoes. Again, more tomatoes, different kinds. So Big Zach. It's supposed to be monster. Can't wait to see what that one looks like. But we could run through them. We have Big Pink, just for documentary reasons for when I watch this next season. Big Pink, Queen of the Night, Black Strawberry, Sun Gold, Roma, Mushroom Basket, Big Zach, Yellow Pear, and more Sun Gold. So those seems to be some favorite picks from last year. I also want to throw Purple Cherokee in the mix, or I can't remember the name of it, but they were both really good. Here we have our peppers. So we have Zulu pepper and Purple Beauty. Those are both bell peppers. Habanada sweet pepper, Gypsy, and Jimmy Nardello. Those are all Italian sweet peppers. Here we have our brassicas. They're getting pretty tall. So, well, this is actually our ground cherry. So we have New Hanover and Aunt Molly's ground cherry floating around in here, along with our Catskill Brussels sprouts, and we have some heirloom Brussels sprouts growing. Graffiti, cauliflower, purple Sicily, and Snowball Y cauliflower. Ping Tongue eggplant, Listed Degandia eggplant, Early Jersey Wakefield cabbage, Savory Perfection cabbage, and over here, this is more of the cauliflower we were talking about, the purple Sicily, and I think that's it for the brassicas. And then down here we have the coleus. Some lily bulbs that I planted. I took these lilies bulbs, I dug them up last year, kept them in a paper bag all winter, and then replanted them maybe 3 weeks ago. And that's where we're at with those. And these are all coleus cuttings I took maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago as well, from some plants that I brought inside from fall last year. And just now I took cuttings, throw them in the dirt. The coleus is one of the easiest plants to propagate, in my opinion. It's also one of the most beautiful and has most of the varieties of color of any plant I've ever seen. So coleus is very up there on my list. And then here we have some bloodleaf, and these are some zinnias that I planted, and these are morning glories. Again, getting way too huge. They're already vining and twisting around everything, so I would definitely wait on planting those a little bit longer for next season. And then over here, these were some of the mother plants that I took the cuttings from to make the trays that I just showed, and as you can tell, they grow so fast you wouldn't even know that I took the cuttings from them. If you watch one of my previous videos, you'd see how cut down these were to almost nothing, and now they're back, you wouldn't even know. And then we have some more lettuce. We have Landis winter butterhead lettuce, and then some space hybrid spinach, and then this is some coleus that I grew from seed. This year it's Fairway Mosaic coleus. It's turning out to be super pretty looking, so I can't wait to see how that turns out as an adult. And then down there we have some foxglove and some Texas hummingbird mint from seed, and then some of my indoor house plants. And over here there's some more of the coleus mother plants, more cuttings. This Persian shield I brought in from outdoors last year. It was the one in the pond there, was the mother plant, and I just keep cutting it and making more so I can put them outside this year. Same thing with the begonia. I just keep making more begonias to put outside. These guys, this is raindrop pellia, and it just puts out, or peppermona, and it just puts out these little pups on the side there. Basically a whole new plant. You can make as many plants as you want. Pretty cool plant, but all this stuff just waiting to go outside. Polka dot plant, just waiting to go outside. Some Transcantia. We have the Nanook and the Zabrina in there. These are marigolds. Grew these from seeds. These are over here. They were on the shelf over there, but they got so tall that they didn't fit under the shelf anymore, so I had to move them over here so they had a little bit more room to grow. Again, I think I planted way too early on a lot of this stuff. Even though I planted like the seed packs that said, 4 to 6 weeks, I waited to the 4 weeks, not the 6 weeks before. So I already was waiting longer, but again, I have to wait longer. Those are the purple print zinnia that I planted from seed. They're already huge. And then again, a lot of the stuff I want to put outside. We have some milk confetti, syngonium, and over here there's this party time alternathea, and then there's more bloodleaf. All of it waiting just to go back outside. A lot more plants in the garden this year, or flowering plants in the garden this year. Last year was mostly fruits and vegetables, not really too many flowers. We had some cosmos and some other things that we really enjoyed, so we decided this year we're going to do a lot of flowers along with the fruits and veggies. Down here we have some morning glories and some sweet pea. First time I'm growing sweet pea, so we'll see how that goes. This is a pretty neat, special kind of morning glory, blue picote. I bought the pack of seeds because the flower looked really cool, and then I realized it only came with 10 seeds in the whole pack. So this is the whole pack of seeds. It was like $5. I did 2 seeds per cell. The whole pack of seeds is right here. So hopefully those will be beautiful, and then they will give me endless seeds in the future, just like my other morning glories. That's it for the garden update for the beginning of April. Hopefully the next update at the beginning of March, all this stuff will be outside and planted, and I'll have a lot more room in here for my house plants under the grow lights. That's it. Thanks. Things by Roma.